My name is Joe Lachlan, News Director for WLAC-TV in Nashville. For the next few moments, we'll hold your undivided attention. We'll do it by demonstrating two concepts which motivate our newsmen. The first, no one can tell the story of Nashville better than local television. And secondly, wherever a pad and pencil can go, a camera can go as well. Now, those principles are anything but startling, yet putting them into practice is a tough proposition. Good local news coverage on film is still a rarity, but not in Nashville. Within the framework of our regular evening newscast, let's take a look at what we've done. Everything you see, including the billboard at the front, was shot, processed, and edited by WLAC-TV men. Let's take it from the top.
The Shell Big News, brought to you by the Shell Oil Company and your friendly neighborhood Shell dealer. Here with tonight's big news is Al Kengott.
There are cities larger than Nashville, but we believe there are no cities more interesting. Our job is telling what happens in Nashville on a day-to-day basis, and we're never short on material, we just have to dig it out.
Like many a southeastern city, Nashville rises abrupt and angular from a carpet of green countryside. A southern metropolis with plans for tomorrow. She is one of the few cities in the world to be out of the planning stage and into the work of consolidating city and county governments, of uprooting a vast downtown section and rebuilding it as a model of classic simplicity and modern American efficiency. She is the capital city of a state determined to develop as a leader of the future. Her story is grounded in people. People like a governor and a senator on a hot summer day. A fugitive who didn't care for our reporter. Children. A murderer. People. They watch the news. They are the news.
The stories that people like most aren't hard to name. They come under the heading of spot news, the sudden, dramatic, unscheduled events that demand attention. And where there's smoke, there's news.
This fire destroyed $500,000 worth of property in downtown Nashville. But the story was more than smoke and flame. It was light and shadow and tons of flying water. With the fire as focal point, we showed the men involved, those who watched excitedly and those who played it long on nerve high above the streets. We had ourselves a story.
Accidents and crime produce much of our spot news stories. Luck may have something to do with spot coverage, but we found that the harder we work to cultivate our news sources, the better our luck becomes. Now, that pure and simple is what gives us an edge on spot news. We cover our sources, the courts, the police, and fire departments, and we cover them every day.
A news source gave us this on-the-spot story of rescue operations at a gas-filled well in which 2 men died and 3 others were injured critically. Spot news coverage of this kind puts proof behind our claim that our viewers can see the local news on WLAC-TV. Police radios and frequent telephone calls keep us in touch with police and firemen, and twice daily personal calls on our sources have made the Shell Big News a favorite with lawmen. We know their problems, and they know ours.
When the spot news stories just don't appear, we go to the city itself for our newscast. Spectacular news may slacken off from one day to another, but there's always a story to be found. Now, here are just a few.
Construction is news in Nashville as the city embarks on a vast urban renewal project. Each week, in the form of a visual progress report, we show our viewers the changes which affect their city's growth and economic health. Like all cities, Nashville has its difficulties with parking, traffic, and increased population. Since these problems affect practically every citizen, from the downtown merchant to the suburban housewife, we make it our business to know what those problems are and how they're being met. This is Tornado Country. We tell the weather story in pictures, from the crucial moments of peril to the minor crises which always follow in the wake of a heavy rain. We capture the chill of a rare, heavy snowfall and bring to our viewers the bright, clear sky of a warm spring day in Tennessee. We reflect, in other words, the attitudes and interests of the city in which we live. And if Nashville sometimes feels like simply taking it easy in the shade, well then, that's news.
Politics and law are topics of prime interest in Tennessee, and yet they're hard to explore in a limited time period. When the state legislature wound up its last session, we faced the job of translating a mass of legal verbiage into a brief, eye-catching review of just what the lawmakers had done. Now, this is what we did. We called it Highlights of the 80th Session.
Appropriations, almost $358 million to be spent in the next 2 years. Teachers' pay. The teachers wanted $400 more across the board. They got $200. Plus a promise of more from overages in the tobacco tax and the sales tax. Lawmakers voted to tax trading stamp companies out of existence, but there's doubt about the bill's constitutionality. No matter what, the stamps will always be good, always redeemable. Daylight savings time is now illegal. Don't do this or you'll have to pay a fine. Highways will be improved. The governor signed a bill calling for $30 million in bonds. Controversy raged on the bill to increase the tolerance on gross truck weights. But the House listened to both sides and in an upset wiped the truckers' bill into oblivion.
To tell a story the way it should be told, one has to be selective, especially with sound on film. When the story calls for sound, we use it, and when we do, brevity is the keynote. Here are some of our sound on film stories. The first, an exclusive, took place shortly after the state legislature finished its last session. It's midnight in the home of one Frank G. Clement.
Well, all day and all night, I've been trying my best to get these bills signed. I think the people deserve to have their governor know what's in these bills and to sign those which he thinks are in their best interest and to veto those which he thinks are not in the interest of the general public. And that's what I've been doing. My eyes are about gone on me, but I'm a little tired. I guess I shouldn't be sitting here in a sports shirt with you at this time of night, but I'm glad to have you, and you're welcome to the governor's residence.
In a small Kentucky town, we talked to a policeman who had seen his partner shot to pieces by an insane gunman. At the scene of the shooting, we asked what the gunman had to say.
When he first came in the back here, he said he come in to kill every damn police in town.
From cartoonist Tom Little of the Nashville Tennessean, the story of how he won this year's Pulitzer Prize.
When I finished this cartoon, I looked at it, I said, that'll never do. I'll have to draw it again, tear it up. The idea was all right, but I didn't think the drawing was up far. Then I looked at my watch. I wanted to play golf next day, so I let it go, and it turned out fine.
A population expert on the South's dearest commodity.
For some time now, the South has been exporting people to the North and the West, something like an average of 270,000 a year. And this includes both your white young people and colored young people. Incidentally, I might say those you send up to the North and the West are generally the people with the higher education and skills in the same groups.
The stories that linger in a newsman's memory are rare. Invariably, they're stories of pathos and drama, and often death. And when they occur, time is usually the one crucial element. To produce under a deadline, to build a story under pressure, these, we believe, are the marks of the reporter with camera. Witness.
When fire raced through 2 Nashville houses last winter, a WLAC-TV stringer covered the story. He got the fire, he pictured the injured, but he told the story with a pair of hands. When a television tower collapsed in Nashville, reporters from every news medium in the area were on the scene in minutes. 4 men had died in a tangle of steel. Every movement, every face was photographed. But only one, our man, saw this sign. Midnight at a murder scene in downtown Nashville, and a When 15 soldiers died in a truck accident at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, WLAC-TV broke the news to Nashville with the only film taken that day.
First thing, of course, we all thought of was that us four here were getting out of there. And I saw a small opening, and I started to call out. I had to do quite a bit of squeezing and lift my leg up to get out, and I finally got out. I looked around, and there was no voices. In fact, there was nothing, no sound whatsoever.
30 miles from Nashville, a manhunt swung into action at a state park as WLAC-TV joined the men and machines which hunted the fugitive. Suddenly, the hunt was over. In the space of minutes, our man had to decide how you show the death of a 15-year-old boy with a bullet in his brain. The answer, you don't show it at all. You remember he's a human being, and you tell the story.
The stories that you've seen came from our files. They were filmed and edited by our reporters while on assignment. They were local. They were visual. And we believe they justify our claim, if it happened in Nashville, you'll see it on WLAC-TV.
The Shell Big News is produced by the WLAC-TV News Department and its 33 correspondents in Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama. National and international news coverage is provided by United Press and CBS News Film. Air transportation by Nashville Flying Service.